Hello everybody, I'm John. This is the Midnight Paint and Body YouTube channel. Hey, in this video, we're going to get started on the metalwork on our 52 sedan delivery project. What have I got myself into now? So I guess this is kind of part two on this car. If you follow my channel, I did a video a while back where basically I just tore this thing completely down, got it all stripped and sandblasted just so I could get a handle on what parts I was going to need to order. So I've got all the sheet metal here for the car now, so I'd like to get started on it. So this is a 52 Chevrolet sedan delivery, so this is going to be like a restomod kind of deal. This car will be getting, so it's getting a custom suspension, it's getting a narrowed differential, it's going to be getting tubbed for big tires. But I figured before I take it off the frame, I just wanted to get some of the structural metal work done. I don't know that it's necessary. I mean, this is a solid car, but makes me feel a little better just knowing that it's, you know, welded together and stiffened up before I pull it off of here. So it is overall an incredibly solid car for what it is. If you watched the last video, you'll see it. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad at all considering it sat on the farm for the last 45 years. You know, stuff like these body mounts and everything just being completely solid is just amazing. You know, it does need floors and panels and whatnot, but I've got everything here for it now. In the last video, I was looking for a better driver's door, so I do have that now. So thanks to everyone that reached out and had suggestions and contacts for parts. Now, these doors, it just turned out that, I mean, that one is also rusty, but not a big deal. It's just the driver's door off this one. It had been overextended and tweaked, and the inside's all damaged, and I just preferred to start with a better one. So I'll kind of show you what I've got for the car. So I've got the lower quarter panel repair panels. Of inner and outer rocker panels. So we do have front floor pans and the kick panels. So that'll be this section here and the section that goes up there. Yeah, some fender bottoms, some braces, and then these are inner and outer door bottoms. So here's the exterior door skin, and here's the inside piece. So it should all be pretty straightforward metalwork. So I think I'm just going to pick a spot. I was thinking maybe I would just start on this quarter panel, start putting some pieces in. Now, I just figured I would take you guys along. I'm going to see how this goes. Now, as you can see, so now these kind of panels, it's not like the panels we get for the more modern cars, like the rust repair panels, rocker panels. This stuff's a little cruder. This is old stampings. So I don't know if it's going to fit fantastically, but I'm sure it's going to be just fine. So I don't typically like to overlap metal, so you can see the way these are flanged. If it fits well enough, I would probably end up cutting that off and just doing a butt weld, but I may end up utilizing that flange. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I figured let's start cutting a little bit of this thing out and just kind of see what we have to work with. So here's the first look at a bit of our inner panel, inner structure. So I usually just kind of loosely trim stuff out of the way. This lip will still need to come off there, but just kind of gives us an idea of what we're going to be finding in there. seems solid so far. Now our inner fender here is pretty twisted up right here. Seems solid. I might be able to straighten it up, but I have a feeling I'll probably be making a piece for the bottom there. So yeah, so far it doesn't look too bad. See a lot of years of dirt and stuff. Of course, all my sandblasting sand sitting in there, but yeah, we'll get all that cleaned up. I'll start trimming the stuff back, and we'll just kind of see what we have to work with that new panel. And I just forgot to say here, guys, Happy New Year. It's actually Monday, New Year's Day today. So, 2024. So, hopefully everyone had a good holiday season. I know it won't be New Year's Day when you're watching this and to start the video. It'll probably be a couple of weeks, but anyway. So, back to here. So, I've got, just kind of roughed off here, but so far, this car is, yeah, it's really good. Everything's super solid inside. I was able to straighten out most of this stuff, so I think we're gonna be okay. Like this is, it's just, yeah, it's super good. So that's a nice surprise to have all that inner sheet metal still salvageable. And, and if you're new to the channel here, guys, I just want to say too that, you can probably see, my shop is pretty average. I am an average body man. I have very average tools. I'm by no means a pro hot rod builder. Now, keep in mind, I'm an average working guy like you. Most of my customers are average working guys too, millionaire clients. So the stuff that I do might not be like what you're used to seeing on the old TV shows. I like watching, Kindig Designs build cars just as much as you guys. I love the stuff they do, but let's be honest, you and I are probably never going to have a shop set up like what they have. So I'd like to think the stuff I do and show you guys a little more real world. You can probably, if it's something you're wanting to do yourself, you're probably going to have pretty much the same tools that I have. So nothing fancy around here. So, with that out of the way, I think we're going to do our first sort of super rough fit of this panel. I haven't even held it up there yet. I don't even know if I cut far enough or anything, but so I'm not able to go up underneath the back because I haven't cut enough. Hitting on this here. Okay, a little more trimming and we'll try again. There's a little bit of a look at how these cars were put together way back in the day. I was just melting out some lead out of this seam here. So I'm only going up as far as I need to, where the lead was kind of cracking a bit from the damage. But you can see they were just seamed over and then filled with lead. You can see this seam here as well, goes all the way up and around the back end. I did mention in the last video, I'm not taking all that lead out. Some guys might find it necessary, but as far as I'm concerned, that has been there for 70 years, and it's just fine. You know, there's no issues with it. You know, we don't use lead anymore because we have better materials, but you know, it does have to come out where I'm going to be doing welding and such, so this will have to all be cleaned really well. But yeah, so that's just kind of a look at the old lead. So these panels are what I'm going to call a rough suggestion of the right shape. So they're not great, they're not terrible, they're something to work with. They're very expensive for mediocre panels, to be honest, but sometimes you got to work with the tools in your toolbox. So I've got this one roughly fitted, so I mean, it's okay. It needs to suck in a bit at the bottom to join up with that inner panel, so I'll have to try and figure out how to do that without having a bunch of stress on it. But yeah, other than that, and I need to shape this upper a little bit. It's got some dents and stuff I didn't work out, but now I've got good access to straighten it all up. So, you know, this does hang down like that a little bit. As you see, other side's the same. But yeah, I think that'll be okay. So I'm just going to temporarily throw a few self-tappers in there just to hold this guy in place. And I'm going to start cutting out the front piece and start fitting it. So yeah, I mean, all of this is definitely going to need some fine tuning, you know, quite a bit to do before it actually gets welded on, but this is just the initial fit, and I'm going to start fitting that front. Well, moving on to our next panel here, our next set of problems. So when I had all these parts ordered, I had said I need parts for a sedan delivery. Well, I guess what I have here is just parts for a two-door sedan. So I looked up the supplier, and actually that's all they make. So I mean, it is what it is, but it's gonna work. It's just a little more messing around. So as you can see, our two-door sedan panel is obviously too short. I don't know if you can see over here, but we're a little bit short here too. So obviously sedan delivery has a little bigger wheel opening. So this won't be too big of a deal. I am just going to cut that front off, and we'll go as far as we can with this piece. Round about there, but then that bit there I will just make a piece because we are rusted through. So a little bit of a pain in the butt. What I was talking about over here. So I'll need to make a little extension piece for in there, but that's super easy. That's not a big deal. But so one of those things. I guess we'll just start cutting that out, and we'll start fitting this piece and see what we can do with her. So here's our front piece mocked up in place. So, like I said, obviously it is too short, doesn't go right to the front, but that's not too big a deal. I will just cut that piece out and make a full piece there. And then hopefully get over to the rockers. Now this here, not a big deal. I will just make a piece that's going to fit in there. That's minor. But that just shows you that they do have a different wheel opening size between a regular two-door sedan and a two-door sedan delivery. So, yeah, and there's another thing that's kind of funny. You know, they've got these flanged here, and on the back piece it's here. So, like, I mean, their shitty parts don't even match up to their other shitty parts. So, not overly impressed with this stuff, guys, to be honest. You know, if it relayed in the price, I would understand, but this stuff was expensive. And obviously I had to charge my customer for these very expensive parts, which are, yeah, you just think for that kind of money, these would fit the damn car. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna move on to the rockers. Probably not today, but there's the other things that these are, you know, they don't, I don't know. I mean, these have this like a concave shape in here where, you know, I don't know, like this is flat and then it goes into a rounded there, so I guess I'll just blend it all together. I mean, that is how it was from the factory, so. Yeah, so this will be interesting to see how these goes. Now, the other thing I'm seeing with these rockers, now, this is a 52, these are 53 and 54 rockers. That is not, I'd say that is my fault. When I initially ordered parts for this car, the fellow that gets these parts for me, I told him that this was a 53, because that's what I thought it was. So, whether or not that's just how they are, but then actually, on that note, that says 53, 54, this is a 52. When I looked it up on the website of this Chev Cars of the 40s website, it showed these as being 49 to 54, so I don't think there is another option. But like this deep, you know, there's like 2 inches in there, where this one just goes in 3/8 of an inch. So they're completely different there. So I'm going to be cutting, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm a little annoyed with these parts. Did I say that already? I hear meowing at the door. You must know I'm in a bad mood. Hello, Louie. Say hi to the camera. Well, it's a new day here, guys. I'm just kind of planning my attack for the day on this thing. So, obviously yesterday we got this stuff mocked in place. Now, obviously I got a bunch more to do on this stuff. And this is just the exterior. Once I get all of this stuff fitted, I'll take it all back off and rebuild all of the inner stuff that needs to be done before these outer panels get welded on. So I was, before making this piece, I was gonna jump ahead and just do this rocker, but the more I got looking at cutting out this rocker, I thought it would make more sense for me to do this floor pan first. So I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit to this really high quality floor pan. So again, just a rough idea of the shape. Better than nothing, I guess. So I'm gonna start trimming out for this guy. So I'll just kind of start cutting the floor out now. These, of course, will be, I'll have to figure out where the braces are under the floor. These will be welded in some places to the floor braces. This brace here stays, so this is a kind of a structural brace piece right here. So that guy won't be coming out. As you can see, this will kind of slip underneath this here. So I'll trim all that out as nice as I can. Those parts there are the toe boards, so those are going to go up here, but I'm going to start with this part of the pan. So I'm just going to start trimming a little bit at a time, and then I will bring you guys back as I make a little progress. So here's a quick look with the floor pans trimmed out. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to start trimming up this toe board piece to fit. I'm hoping to kind of run it down this edge, and then once I've got it in place, what I'd like to do is be able to cut through both pieces of metal at the same time and get a nice flush butt weld in there, but we'll see how well I can get this piece to fit. So I've got our toe board held in place with a couple of self-tappers right now. So I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. So I did retain this flange down the side, so I've cleaned that up and put weld-through primer on both sides there where I've got the metal on metal. But then the rest of it, so you can see I've got a few self-tappers, but now what I'm going to do is zip cut through this panel and through the existing sheet metal. And as I go along, I'll just start doing some tack welds so that I'm going to end up with just a butt weld, just metal to metal, no overlapping metal. So then when this car is up off the frame, I'll be able to clean up the underside really nice as well. It's kind of hard to keep the camera going while I'm doing this stuff, but I just thought I could bring this in and give you an idea how I'm doing this. So now as you can see up here, so I'm running my zip cut along, cutting through both pieces of metal, and then I can get, so this upper piece I can pull out of the way, and then I can start making some tacks, and that piece that's left over underneath it's just falling off as I cut it. So now doing it this way, I'm going to have a nice smooth butt weld, so it's just edge to edge, so I don't have overlapped metal. So we'll be able to clean this up really nice, and then underneath on the floor, like I said, once this thing's up off the frame, I'll be able to clean up the underside really nice, and it'll be a nice seamless repair. So you're not going to see that overlap metal, and you're not going to have that overlap that can cause rust issues in the future. Now, it's not the end of the world if you overlap it. There's really nothing wrong with it. Sometimes I do it, just sometimes it depends on how the panels fit. Now, it does leave a space if you don't seal it up good where moisture can get in there. But let's be honest, once these cars are restored and rebuilt, hot rodded, whatever it is, they rarely see bad weather. You know, it's not like the old days where they were driven year round. So I'm going to continue my cutting and welding. We'll get this piece all tacked in, and then we'll move on to the main floor piece. So I decided just to go right ahead and weld up this front pan completely. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit and move on to the big piece. So I moved on to the rocker panel. So I'm going to show you guys, I guess I should have recorded this, but I was a little frustrated. So now if you see, now this is the one for the left side that I haven't altered. So this is about 3 inches. Yeah, that's what it was. It was that 3 inches there. Now, our rocker panels for this car were only about 2.5 inches. There to there, wherever it is. So what I ended up having to do was I cut the bottom off right around there. I actually straightened this all out. So with just with a hammer and dolly, and then with my air plenishing hammer. And then I was able to mark this one, and I could put this in my sheet metal brake and put that brake back in to get it to where it rolls under. And then to make that flat bit that's going to come down right here, I ended up, so I marked it and just put a little bit of a scribe with a zip cut in the sheet metal. And then again with the hammer and my anvil, I bent that lip back over. So now you can see, like this was just not, you know, this might have worked, but even this I think was too deep. But then this was also too deep here. So the other option might have been to slice it through there and squish that together and weld it back up, but I thought this was a better option. So it's getting close. It is right in the range of fitting now. It fits nice. Hopefully you can see that there. To the pinch weld at the bottom, where I'll be drilling and plug welding it to that pinch weld. So I just need to decide if I'm going to continue this right up there. I might actually see if this is welded right here from the factory. So I think I might just cut it there and just go to there. I've cleaned off all of that lead. And then at the back, I will unfortunately have a bunch of other rust repair in this area to do too, kind of a nasty spot, but I will just piece that in. But at the end of the day, you know, everything I'm doing inside there is all covered, but it needs to be structural and nice. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the rocker panel. I just wanted to get that rocker in place before I put this floor piece in place, which I've already got mostly trimmed up to fit, but I'll show you guys that when I get back to it. Well, it's the next day here, guys. I'm getting going again on the 52. Been out here for a little bit this morning. So I've been continuing to fit our rocker panel. I did yesterday get the inner rocker put in place, which I had to completely reshape for this car, even though it's supposed to be for this car. And then, of course, this exterior rocker I had to completely reshape to fit this car. So it's been a challenge. It's been a real pain in the butt, actually. But we'll get her. So I just cut my welds on my brace I'd put in my door. I put this in just to make sure, because I had all of this cut out. Wanted to make sure our door opening stayed bang on. So this brace is ready to pull out. I'm going to hang a door and make sure my lines are good. And then I can start kind of continuing to fit and weld in this rocker, hopefully. So the door on, our gap looks good. Got everything nice and even. So the gap is a little big at the bottom, but it's even all the way along. And then if you look where the old sheet metal would have been, so that's going to be pretty much how the gap was. So we'll just line it up like that. And I am going to be putting full door bottoms on these doors as well. So they will come off for welding, but when I get back to the doors, I'll need to go back on for fitting while everything on the bottom there gets replaced. So we can fine-tune gaps when we get to that point as well. So I think I am good with where that is. So I'm going to start tacking a few things in place. And there's going to be still a whole bunch of fitting and making little bits and pieces and fooling around till I get it just right. But hopefully I can get this rocker all done and then get this other floor pan in place. Little end of the day check-in for you guys. So I've kind of jumped ahead and I've got this floor pan all welded solid on this side. Rocker panel is in place. So I've got it mostly welded, a few little touch-ups, a few little weld touch-ups to do yet. But this pan and toe board are both completely welded. I did the same thing with this pan as I did up there. I kind of cut and welded so that there is no overlap metal, like I said. So, if you can see. So yeah, it kind of gives you an idea. So rather than having an overlap, this stuff will all clean up really nice. Might take just a, you know, maybe just a little bit of seam sealer or just a tiny bit of filler to make it look nice underneath the car. I mean, we're not building a full-blown show car, but we still want everything to be as nice as, well, as I'm capable of making it for my customer. So I'm happy with that. This, just to show you guys, I've got this, it's like a fiber sanding wheel that I bought for doing, for prepping the floor of a pickup box for doing a spray and liner. So it takes two hands, it's heavy, but it cleans everything up super nice. I use it for a lot of different stuff. Won't take off real heavy stuff, but as you can see, it just cleans off all the welding gunk and everything good. So I'm gonna have to move on to the back part of the rocker. Now we've still got all this to tend with. So this is gonna be kind of ugly in here. So we'll see. I haven't really developed a full plan yet, but I don't really want to take this entire brace right out because it's spot welded all the way across the floor and both sides. You just kind of end up ripping holes and stuff to take that out. So what I might do, because it's rusted through a bit on the bottom here, I might just cut that bottom off it, and that'll give me some access to make a piece for the floor in here. And we'll see how far we have to go in there, and then I'll just make a little piece to fix this up. So, again, you know, at the end of the day, guys, it's all going to be covered, but I want it to be super solid. It's not like those car shows you see on TV where everything inside that's all going to be covered up is absolutely perfect. I mean, I'm not capable of doing the kind of work those guys do, but at the end of the day too, you know, every hour I work on a car is an hour I have to bill a customer. So, you know, why would I do stuff that's really not necessary? You know, having absolute perfection where you're going to have a carpet covering it, it's just got to be good. That's the way I look at it. Let me know what you think. So I think next I'm going to pull these panels back off. I'm going to continue repairing the inner rocker here, and then we'll probably move on to making a piece for here, and yeah, going around the corner. Yeah, we'll just see where we end up next, but it's pretty much the end of the day for me now, so we'll see you guys tomorrow. So it's a new day on the 52 here, guys. Yeah, bright and early. Shop's still a little chilly, just warming up. So I'm moving on to finishing up this inner rocker. Now you can see we're missing a bunch towards the back. So the rockers that I was sent for this car, the inner rockers I was sent for this car, I showed you at the front piece, so they're just a short piece, so they're meant for a sedan. This is a sedan delivery. They're not even close. I was able to make that piece work for the front, but I did have to put a bend and a jog on it to kind of make up for, see where it juts out here. So I mean, that worked out fine, but of course those are only so long. I'm not able to do the whole thing, so I was going to make this back piece, and I remembered I've got these. So these are just some cheap stamped exterior rockers for a Dodge truck I've had sitting around forever. I think I mentioned before, I kind of keep stuff like this around just for cutting up for this purpose. I wouldn't actually use these as rockers on a customer vehicle. So what I'm going to do with this, and quite honestly, I wish I would have thought of this while I had, before I put this on. I could have done this in one whole piece. But I'm going to use a portion of this. So I'm going to use this piece here down to thereabouts, and then I will put that brake back in there, only up farther. I'll be cutting that bottom off. So I'm going to make this back piece with that. And then when I get to the other side of the car, I can either do it as one uniform piece, or maybe I'll just do it exactly the same as I did here. That way it matches side to side. It's not really going to be anything visible. The only thing different will be that from the inside underneath the car, we're going to see a different body line here. And these just have that little bead roll bit, which, again, not a big deal. No one's going to see underneath this car unless it's on a lift, because she's going to be right on the ground, I think. So anyway, I'm going to start cutting this out, and I'll sort of bring you guys back and show you what I come up with as I figure it out. Well, guys, it's the end of the day again. So it doesn't look like a whole lot of progress, but I figured we'll do a quick little check-in. So I did end up, because I was cutting out in here, I did end up doing this floor patch. So I just made a piece in here, and then made the piece in here as well. So that's all good. And then I have, I've been cleaning up all the inside of the floor as I go along too. It's got a ton of undercoating, all kinds of crap. So I've been trying to get all that off with the needle scaler while I can. And then I've just spent the last little while here making up this inner rocker piece. So I've just, like I said earlier, just kind of cut a chunk of that Dodge rocker and reshaped it. So it's going to work well for this. So I do have it ready to weld in there. You see it's kind of hanging down, but once I've got the all the exterior stuff put on, then I'll just trim that bottom off and then it'll be perfectly flush. So, I think I'm gonna call it a day. Like I say, just, man, it doesn't seem like a lot of progress for almost a whole day's work, but it's the way it goes sometimes. Morning, everyone. Next day again. It's Friday. Happy Friday. So I've been, I've been out here for a little bit, not too long. So I've gone ahead and welded in the inner rocker piece that I made yesterday. And I now have the first part of the quarter panel in place, ready to tack on there. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start giving that thing some tacks. And then once I have that, I'm not gonna fully weld it. I think I'm just gonna tack it in place. And then I'm gonna move on to making this panel, which I don't think will be too bad. So hoping just to make one piece, put the brake in the bottom, kind of roll it up. And then once we get over to here, I'm gonna put the door back on, actually before I weld anything. And where's that piece? So this was actually the piece that I cut off of this panel because, like I mentioned, that panel was for a two-door sedan. So I think I'm going to use some of that here, actually, because we are rusted through in this area. So, yeah, it's, you know, it's not ideal piecing it together like this, but in the end it'll all be welded solid, and yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, it's not, obviously I'd rather do it in one piece, but yeah, well, it's the other thing I was gonna show you guys. So yeah, like looking at my fit here, it does feel like this bubbles out a little bit, but I put a straight edge on it, and so you can see, I think you can see, you know, once I get that welded, we're pretty much flush. So yeah, it's not gonna take much body filler, hopefully, to finish that off. Doesn't look like it will. So I'm gonna start with a few tacks and then kind of move up, move back. Yeah, we'll just kind of figure it out as we go along. Alright, now we can move on to the next spot. And something I was going to mention to you guys too, I am planning on putting this body on a rotisserie. There is still going to be a lot of work underneath. A lot of the floor braces and stuff are going to need some repairs. I figured I would wait until I've got it accessible. Friday today, I actually just ordered a rotisserie a couple days ago. I don't own one, so I am picking it up on Sundays. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Well guys, I got the door back on the car. I'm gonna show you something. I can admit my mistakes. So this is why you never finish welding stuff or, you know, weld a lot of stuff before you fit your panels. Now, as you can see, our gap is good around the top. It starts out okay, but we're tightening up as we go down to where we're actually overlapping just a hair. So in this case, it's not a huge deal. So I know what has happened, so I shouldn't have completely welded this brace that I made in here. So I'm gonna have to undo those welds and just take a little pressure off this panel and let it settle back that way. So it has moved ahead, I'd say, 1/4 inch. So I need to correct that before going any further. Alright, so I actually just took the porta power and put it in between the lower hinge there and a little bit on the upper hinge. and actually took very little. So yeah, it just shifted a hair. So yeah, crisis averted, but it's a good lesson for everyone. Is, you know, that's why you always take that extra time to fit your panels before welding things up. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. So here's kind of the shape we're trying to make there. So I'm just going to make this panel so it's going to fit into place right here. And so a little more cutting and tacking and messing around, and I think we're in pretty good shape here. So I'm going to grafted this piece in. I put a little bit of a slice here just to relieve that gap just a hair, but I'm happy with that now. So we pretty much just need to make this last panel, which I actually had intended to make this panel go all the way down here, but I forgot I was using this piece. So I'm only going to need a little section of that. It is going to fit well once I cut it to fit. And yeah, I've got a bit of a mess in here, but that's not too big of a deal. I just need to, well, yeah, as usual, more cutting and welding, but I will make that work, no problem. Well, it's a little bit Frankenstein having to use so many different pieces putting this together, but I've got this section anyway mostly welded up. So yeah, as you can see, I mean, you saw as I was doing it, but I had to use this piece and then a piece there and then make a piece there. Yeah, it was kind of not the ideal way to do it, but I mean, she is definitely solid. I got a little bit too much heat going on in here and warped this a bit, but it's all open inside, so that's not a problem. It's going to take a little bit of, a few minutes with a hammer and dolly, and I'll get that all worked back out. So we've got that. We accomplished our pans in here and our inner. And you can see I'll be able to clean up everything in here. I mean, obviously this will all be covered with interior, but it's all nice and accessible. Like I said, to hammer dolly everything, and then to finish everything, maybe seam seal everything on the inside here. So next thing will be to finish up the back end, and then I'll probably, because I'm going to want to do these door bottoms while the body is still on the frame, so I'll probably do those next. But anyway, guys, for the sake of time, I'm going to end this video here. It's almost the end of the day Friday, so I'm going to spend an hour cleaning up, putting tools away. I do have a ton of work booked over the next while, so I'm not sure how much I'll get to work on this, but stay tuned because we will get back to it for sure. So yeah, hit the subscribe so you don't miss it if you're interested. And you can always follow Midnight Paint and Body on social media, the Facebook and Instagram, and then you can see more of these projects and more of a lot of the other projects that I don't make videos on. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. See you on the next one.